Hey, what's up, guys? This is your boy here, Judah Yugi, giving you our very first new segment, which is a Yu-Gi-Oh! Arc V anime discussion, where I will be discussing different theories or ideas or conspiracies or whatever about Yu-Gi-Oh! Arc V that I have that is left of Arc V, which is like 30 or so episodes left of Arc V. And there's still a couple things that I still like want to see, some things I want to theorize and talk about in the future. And yeah, so this is hopefully a segment that will continue for a while. So uh, here here today, I have with me a fellow YouTuber that's going to join me in this conversation. Would you please introduce yourself?
Hey guys, I'm Dylan from Clueless Gamers. Thank you for having me. Judah Yuki, Legendary Duels. It's the first collab I'm doing, so I'm really excited for it. And spoilers just came out for 113, a very interesting spoiler. We want to discuss what we think is going to go on with Dennis, maybe even Edo and Asuka, and all these so many characters really to get into. So I'm definitely excited for this. So again, thank you for having me on.
Oh, sure, no problem, man. I mean, just to give a little introduction to the people as to how I guess how we met and stuff like that. I basically watched one of his videos, ironically, the Seto Kaiba theory. And,
Which, by the way, if you don't mind me interrupting,
sure.
that is officially done. YouTube rejected my counter appeal, which is pretty baffling. But yeah, so it looks like that's something I'm gonna have to deal with for the next 6 months. So ironically, that was the video that you and I'm sure a lot of others were brought onto this channel. Yeah. So it's a shame.
For sure. I mean, one of my friends is the one who introduced me to that video, and when I watched it, I was like, this is actually really well thought out, and I had a lot of respect for that video, because I know you may think that it's a really bizarre video, but considering at that point where we were in the series, I thought it really made a lot of sense since they were introducing all these new characters. Sorry, all these old characters from old series, you know, Jack and Crow and Kaito and Alexis, like, and you know, they basically took the same storyline more or less that they had back in the old their original series, and then kind of like simplified it and made it, you know, work for Yu-Gi-Oh! Arc V without fully connecting it to the old story. And I felt like your theory with the Kaiba one, I thought it actually made a lot of sense with the whole thing with the Yugi, and you know, if he wasn't around.
Thank you.
Yeah, I thought it made a lot of sense, and you actually did a lot of research.
That's what it was. Yeah, I put in a lot of work on that one, especially.
And what I respect about it the most too was the fact that you actually used the subtitled version of the original series, which is good because that's where you get your actual information from, and the dub kind of like waters it down a lot and makes it all like funny and, you know, comical when they take out a lot of story elements that make it actually very in depth and good. But yeah, so
absolutely,
I thought you did a fantastic job with that. Honestly.
Thank you. Thank you. Well, it's a shame that no one will ever be able to watch that video again. It really is a shame.
We'll see how it goes with Neon ads, and we'll see how.
Yeah, I'm gonna contact them, and hopefully we'll see what happens.
Yeah. But yeah, and then obviously from then on, I watched a couple of your top fives, you know, from GX to 5Ds episodes and stuff like that, and I was like, you know, you put out a lot of good points as to why you like certain duels the most, why you thought they were great. So yeah, me and my friend had a lot of fun conversations through your videos actually. So we were on the phone. We were on the phone for like an hour and a half, just talking about your video and then talking about, you know, what duels like we enjoyed and why they were great and stuff like that. And so yeah,
that's great. It means a lot to me because I make those videos again to hear from you guys, but again to bring the community together. Which again, why, you know, when a video gets taken down for copyright reasons, it does hurt because I'm not trying to make a profit off of other people's work. I'm trying to just bring the community together. It's a show I love. It's a show that a lot of people have a passion for, and it's definitely a shame. But it's great to hear that. So thank you. It really does mean a lot.
Of course, man. Anytime. So yeah. So after that, I was like, all right, man, I have to make a collab with this guy. We have to talk about Arc V. You're actually up to date with it, and you watched all the Yu-Gi-Oh! Series, which I also have watched all of them all the way through. Not everybody has, but so I'm like, all right, this guy knows what he's talking about. I can have a legit conversation with him about the show, and I feel like I can get a lot out of it and stuff. So yeah. The topic for today, guys, as you guys will probably see in the title of this video, is Dennis a double or triple agent? We've seen a lot of Dennis so far, and the reason why we're talking about this is because in the preview for 112, they show that Dennis is coming back. They don't show him, but they show his smile. It's too obvious for it not to be him, but so it's definitely Dennis. And there's been a lot of strangeness going on with Dennis. You know, he's seen like he is he on Academia? Is he good? Is he bad? You know, like it's hard to tell because his character goes one way and then another way, and then it's like it's hard to tell. So in this video, we're gonna hope to kind of prove whether or not we think Dennis is a double or triple agent and why. So to start it off, Dylan, why don't you tell me? Do you think Dennis is a double or triple agent? I guess. Since this was actually a theory that you
Well, by the way, I'm
thought
getting
of.
some weird thing that says like it is a theory that I created, and
Yeah.
when I created it, this was before obviously the preview, and he came back, and I'm actually gonna I think differently than what you think. I'm actually gonna go against my initial theory that he was a triple agent.
All right, that's good.
Here's the thing: we can confirm from the spoilers. According to the spoilers, again, spoilers can be wrong. The initial spoilers were that Jack and Crow were going to invade Standard, which nothing like that even happened. We know that was not. Yeah, those were the initial spoilers. The initial spoilers too was that the power of Yuya and Jack Stool was going to send Yuya to the
All
Heartland where he would meet Asuka, and that wasn't true. That wasn't even true at all. So spoilers can be wrong, but there is a spoiler that says Yusho did train Dennis in Heartland. That is a spoiler. And if that's the case, it's very interesting because was Dennis's entire plan was he loyal to Academia the entire time, and was his plan to gain Yusho's trust, to gain the knowledge of the Lancers and join the Lancers, which we know he successfully did, and now is he the key to maybe destroying the Lancers and Yusho with the knowledge he has of working with them, which means the entire time he was working for Academia, I thought when I said triple agent, maybe he was with Yusho, and Yusho convinced him what Academia is doing is wrong. You're going to join the Lancers. You're going to pretend that you are an Academia agent, and you're going to not stab Academia in the back until the time is right. And that's where the whole triple agent theory stemmed from. I'm kind of doubting that now because of the preview where he had this really wicked smile, and he looks like he wants to just destroy everything, which the last time we saw him, he wanted to destroy everything in his duel against Shun. But he's also had statements where, like, it was the worst day of his life when he had to, green light the invasion, which is a sign that he was having a lot of fun with Yusho and he enjoyed entertaining people. So it just doesn't really... There's a lot of things that don't make sense about Dennis that I feel, and I know you feel the same way. So that's really what I think as of now. He probably is working with Academia. There's no ulterior motives. But I'd love to hear what you guys in the comments have to say, and especially what you have to say as well.
Oh, yeah. That's very good that you mentioned that because I actually forgot the whole thing where Dennis and Yusho trained together in the Xyz dimension. I forgot that part.
Well, that again is a rumor, but I mean that is what a spoiler says. So we'll see if that's the case.
Well, yeah, but I do remember Dennis saying the whole, that he was upset that they greenlighted the attack on the Xyz dimension because he was kind of having fun, entertaining like Yusho and stuff like that. So all right, so that's the topic right now that we're going to get into. So I wrote down a couple evidence points, a couple episodes in which prove my points or more or less try to bring it towards my way. So
your point, just before you start,
Sure.
You believe that Dennis is working with Yusho.
Yes. So you're
Okay.
going against it. I'm going to go with it. I honestly think he is.
I was with it at first, but I'm interested to hear this.
Well, the first thing, before I even start saying my points, I'd like to point out that even though the preview showed Dennis smiling kind of evilly, for me that almost kind of means nothing just because of the fact that, the writers kind of put that in there sometimes just to tease you. They do that sometimes.
True.
They'll do it to tease you.
That's true.
So I won't really buy into it. I'm like, I'm not too 100% sure on it, but it could definitely be possible.
Fair.
All of this hard work and research I did could end up going down the drain, but hey, it's a theory. But all right, so
well,
all right, so the first piece of evidence I have is actually it's about Akaba Reiji. As we all know, he's one of the best characters in Yu-Gi-Oh! RV, even though we haven't seen too much of him, but he's still amazing. My favorite character. So the thing with Akaba Reiji is, as we already know, he's a very smart, intellectual guy. He's usually 2 or 3 steps ahead of everybody, right? We can all pretty much agree with that. And I kind of doubt that Reiji would be so fooled into believing that Dennis was a good person going in to join the Lancers. I find it very difficult to believe that Reiji, a smart guy who can see like 5 steps ahead of everybody and has a backup plan for whatever other situations. I find it very hard to believe that he would be fooled by Dennis or not be able to at least see his ways. Um, and so yeah, so let me see what I wrote down here. Reiji could easily detect if Dennis was a spy. So why didn't he ever confront this? I feel like he would have before they even went to the synchro arc, because there was an episode. Let me see right here. Episode 53 was when they traveled to the synchro dimension at the end of the episode, and I feel like at some point before then, Reiji would have confronted Dennis because Dennis was introduced as a transfer student into LDS.
Right.
So we already knew he wasn't already from around here. So that's kind of already a little suspicious. So I feel like Reiji would have definitely not allowed this to happen, and I'll get further into detail with this. Let's see, because he knew Dennis was on his side already. So yeah, the reason. So why didn't he ever confront this? The reason why I think is because he knew Dennis was already on his side. Hence the whole double or triple agent thing, and which is why Reiji wasn't in the slightest surprised when Dennis revealed himself when he dueled against Shun in the tournament. As you notice, everybody was surprised. Reiji was like not phased at all. He's like, okay.
Yeah, he was like, I kind of figured someone would be, and right, his handling of that situation was kind of strange. Yeah,
Yeah.
I will give you that one. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, it was a little too strange, and we all know he's smart enough to know what's going on. So it's possible that they could have planned this.
It's also possible that maybe Reiji just trusted the other Lancers, where if there was going to be a worm in the group, he knew the other Lancers would get rid of it and take care of business, which is what happened.
Yeah,
but there is a lot of speculation there. Absolutely, you would think that he'd be able to figure something like that out. You're all right about that.
Yeah. So he basically So that was his goal. I think the whole goal for that duel was because even before the duel happened, the council was asking Reiji, why is it that you're making your Lancers fight each other? That doesn't make any sense. And then he pointed out there's a reason why he's doing it and this and that. And the whole reason was obviously for this. He wanted to show not only the Lancers' power, but I also think a hidden meaning is he wanted to show everybody, including the Lancers, that Dennis was part of Academia. And maybe Reiji doesn't want the other Lancers to know this fact, because that could probably ruin everything. It could ruin the plan that they might have secretly behind the scenes. And I don't think that's too unlikely, because Reiji's a smart guy. I'm pretty sure he could have planned this out from a long time ago. So yeah, let's see. Also, why would Reiji accept Dennis as a Lancer if he had any suspicion, like I said, that he was from Academia? He would have stopped it right there. Why would he give him the Lancer's secret weapon? Before they even went to the Synchro arc, there was the moment where they were in LDS all together before they went off, and he equipped all their duelists with the technology to perform action duels wherever you go. The action field and stuff like that. So he implemented that into Dennis's duelists and everybody else as well as gave pendulums to everyone in the Lancers who was willing to accept it, which I'll get into some other time. But I remember in the duel against Shun and Dennis, the first duel that they had in the underground, when Dennis first used pendulum monsters, I feel stupid now thinking about it, but at the time I was really confused because I was like, why does he have pendulum monsters? This doesn't make any sense. And it was very vaguely touched on. They very briefly mentioned it, and they didn't directly say, that he gave them pendulum monsters, but it's pretty much obvious that that's where Serena and Gogenzuka and all of them, that's where they got the pendulum monsters from Reiji.
Yeah.
Because we know he could develop them. He created all of his DDD pendulum monsters from all the research that he got from Yuji's pendulum monsters. So he has the technology to create all this stuff and to travel to dimensions and all this crazy stuff. So yeah, if he had any if he had any suspicion that Dennis was a part of this, he wouldn't have given him their secret weapon, which is action dueling and pendulums. I don't think he would make such a grave mistake like that. He's too smart of a guy to do something like that. I mean, what? That's pretty much 1 point so far. So, what do you think of all that?
Well, I think it's interesting, and it very well could be the case. Reiji is a very smart, and more importantly, he's a very calm person who does seem like I mean, to me, he's the best rival we've seen in Yu-Gi-Oh! If you've watched my top 7 list for the best rivals. And he's just a guy who's very calm, and again, he's like 5 steps ahead of everyone. So you do make good points there. The only counter argument I would say is it could just be a case where he felt if there was a worm, he knows Yuya's not part of Academia. He knows, Shun isn't part of Academia, and he felt that the other Lancers would have been able to kind of get rid of this poison among the Lancers and, and get rid of it, but exterminate it. But, yeah, you do make some good points because Reiji so you're kind of suggesting maybe Reiji, Yusho, and Dennis are all in a 3-way collusion with this other.
Yeah,
they have this plan.
Yeah, I'm gonna get into
that. It's definitely interesting. Yeah, I'm interested to hear your other points on that. Yeah, I definitely could see that as a good point to that argument. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean that's definitely a good counter argument in the fact that he's trusting that the Lancers would take him out, but even so, the fact that he gave him Pendulum Monsters, which is their secret weapon, and is kind of giving it to Academia. That's kind of like, why would he do that? He specifically said that this is their secret weapon. This is what they're going to be using against them, because this is not something that they don't have that in Academia. They don't have action dueling, and they don't have pendulums. So why would he give Dennis a spy who I'm pretty sure he would be able to suspect was a spy? So I would think that maybe he had some sort of trust, and also the fact that he also wasn't surprised by the fact that he was from Academia, and he just looked like he was prepared. He just looked too calm and too prepared for it, which makes me think that it was kind of more or less planned out this way. He's trying to create a show for everybody to believe, I guess. But yeah, so I guess my second point is this second point has to do with, like you were saying, like with Yusho and Dennis. Dennis duels, as we know, very similarly to Yusho. Obviously, he has an entertainment-style deck. Dennis is a huge fan of Yusho and was very excited to duel with Yuya. This goes way back when I believe, way back in the first tournament arc when Dennis first appeared, when they first revealed him. He was trying to talk to Yuya, and at the end of the episode, at the end of the duel, basically, Yuya, what was it? Dennis actually said that I've been looking forward to partner up with, Yusho's junior. And I just recently read that up, because I was doing some research. And I was like, and then Yuya replied, "Oh, you know my father?" And he's like, "Of course I do. He's a man I admire a lot." So I'm like, all right, here we have Dennis, who is very close to Yusho, has a very obviously similar playing style to Yusho. I mean, he basically duels exactly like him. And he seems like a very good actor. He likes to have fun. He likes to act. He did that whole acting thing with Gogensaka. So it wouldn't be too surprising if he's acting this whole time to be part of the Lancers, to betray the Lancers, but really actually be part of them. And it seems like a lot of a lot of work, but if there is a plan involved, clearly then it all has a meaning. Let me see what else. Devin even admitted to knowing Yusho, and Reiji is also working, and we know that Reiji is also working together with Yusho, as we saw in the recent episode 106, when they showed that Yusho and Reiji were kind of working together since way back then. And as we know, that's when Yusho went to the Xyz dimension by accident, and probably what I'm assuming is he met up with Dennis there. What could possibly be is that he is originally from Academia, maybe, and this is one possible way it could go. He could be from Academia. He could have met Yusho there. He could have dueled him, been fascinated by his playing style, and kind of really admired him and went after his style of dueling, and probably he could have turned right then and there, and then joined Yusho in his plan to kind of stop them while pretending to be. But obviously, the attack was still going to go through regardless of it all, and he still had to play his role as the villain. So that's what he did, and then he captured Ruri and this and that, and so there's a lot of like weird suspicion things with him working for Academia while also knowing Yusho, dueling like him, admiring him, and also the fact that Reiji doesn't seem to be surprised at all by anything that Dennis does kind of makes me seem like, all right, well, if Reiji and Yusho are working together, then it could have been possible that Yusho sent Dennis to Reiji as a secret spy, and that's where this whole plan goes along. So that's kind of like where I'm going with all of it.
Right.
So yeah, tell me what you think about all that.
Well, and he also, to add on to your point, he doesn't really seem to agree with the Academia's beliefs, right? Because again, it goes back to what I said earlier. Mm-hmm. When he green-lighted the invasion, he didn't say like, "Yeah, I loved it. It was great. I couldn't wait until I finally found Ruri and I was able to tell all these people to destroy Heartland."
Yeah,
I mean, he made the quote. It's very similar that he said, "It's the worst day of my life," and so, or it was one of the worst days of my life. Said something along those lines. So it seems like he doesn't love destroying people, which is what Academia's beliefs are. So that kind of adds on to your point too. There's a lot of suspicion there. I just feel like this show has so many right now, especially good characters compared to villainous characters, that I could see Dennis being redeemed. But if he's immediately right off the bat like a good character and he is a triple agent, Arc 5's got a real issue with how many good versus evil characters they have. So that's kind of another reason why I feel Dennis needs to at least be somewhat evil at the moment. But there definitely is a lot of weird occurrences. And, a couple weeks ago, preview, I did believe that he could have been a triple agent. So, it's more than possible. I'm not going to say, no, there's no way it's going to happen. It's definitely interesting. And you guys let us know in the comments below, because I'd love to hear what you guys have to say about it.
Please let us know. I mean, a lot of it is like very small. Like some of the stuff that I've mentioned here is like really small things that were mentioned very vaguely during different parts that if you don't really pay attention or it's very easy to forget. So for me, I'm the type of person that whenever it comes to me making theories or assumptions about a character, I look at the very small details, especially with somebody like Akabe Reiji, who he very rarely does anything in the show, and that's kind of the charm about him. He's very quiet and very calculated, so it's kind of hard to read him at times. But when he does speak, I pay very close. He's one of my favorite characters, but I pay very close attention to what he says, because he very rarely says anything, but when he does, it's always something very important and very interesting, like that whole thing when he was talking to the council, and he's basically like, oh, there's a reason why I'm doing this. Isn't it possible that Academia could have come to your dimension and be pretending, which was Roger, by the way, who was pretending to be one of them, and this and that. So like he says a lot of very small things that most people might ignore because he just looks like such a badass. So they might just ignore it completely. And he barely has any speaking roles at all in the series. So when he speaks, you gotta hear him out. That's what I think. I was like discussing that with one of my friends, and I was like, yo, like all these, because before I remember fans were talking about to you, I think, how Reiji might be a bad guy or a villain.
Yes, I've heard that theory a lot, yeah.
And I was like, I feel like there is so much evidence that proves that he's not a villain, and there's so many small things that he says throughout the series that prove that he's not a villain or that he's working with a Caballero, down to his past with his father and how, his father abandoned him and his family to go to the fusion dimension and do all this crazy stuff, and he's been plotting against him ever since. Like, I feel like that's such an obvious thing. I don't know how people even came up with the idea that he's evil.
No, and I 100% agree with you. I don't think he's going to be evil. I do think that his intentions are to defeat Academia. Yeah. I agree with that. I do agree with you.
Definitely. And even another point to prove with that is when Roger actually offered to Akawareji to rule over the dimension with him, he denied it. He said, "No, that's stupid. I wouldn't do something like it." I'm obviously butchering the words, but he says, "I have no interest in that. Like that doesn't
Yeah.
interest me at all." So clearly, he has no intent of ruling anything. His one true ambition is to stop his father with, like he said, he wants to break down through Academia's doors and stop. Like he was so aggressive with it. It was really cool, but so yeah. So let me see if I have anything else here that I wrote down. I feel like I went through almost everything. I mean, so just to
Yeah, you made a good case for it.
I feel like I made a pretty decent case over it. I just feel like there's too much suspicion going on with him being a part of Academia, pretending to be one of the Lancers, knowing Yusho, having an entertainment style dueling, uh, and the point that you mentioned where he was actually upset at greenlighting the attack and that it was the worst day of his life and this and that. Like, there's so many key points that it's like, I really don't think this guy is bad. And this could all just be an act that they're portraying to convince everybody that he is bad so that that way Academia probably can't wouldn't second guess him because he was obviously one of their strongest members, which is why he was sent to the Xyz dimension
Right.
most likely. So he has to continue to keep that image to pretend to be one of them. So he should he has to be a spy is what I think. Now from what we see as we saw in episode 112 preview, he did that evil smirk. And what I think is going to happen with that, based on the very small amount of information that was given, we saw Yugo, right? We saw Yuzu, we saw Alexis, and they were, oh sorry, Asuka, and then
And Yusho. It doesn't English sub or dub. I don't care. It doesn't matter.
yeah. So they were kind of like they seemed concerned, and they were talking to Yusho, right? And they were talking to him about something. I don't know what it was. And then that's when we see the Dennis's smile and this and that, and then they come in and they look like they're getting pissed off. They're getting mad because they see him there. And obviously they all saw what he did in the Synchro arc.
That was the last time they saw him, yeah.
That was the last time that they saw him, exactly. So how I think that scene goes down, they're probably talking about, in the beginning of that, I think they're probably talking about something else to him, about the war or something. Then that's when Dennis comes in and he says something, either sarcastic or whatever, maybe. And then he's like, "Oh, long time no see," with that evil smirk, just to make us think like, "Oh, he's bad." And then they're getting ready to duel him or to stop him. They're like, "Oh, he's really bad." And then that's when Yusho, who's sitting right there, he's like, "Oh no, don't worry about him. He's working with us." And then he explains how everything happened. I feel like that's kind of what the preview's showing to me, at least. I feel like it's setting something up for that, and the whole smile is kind of, for me, just a way to make people think that, oh yeah, he's still bad. Because sometimes they do troll you into thinking something else.
They do.
So what? Yeah, that's what I think about that preview.
What I think about it is I really think it's all genuine. I mean, obviously, based on my stance on where I think Dennis is at this point, I think it's genuine. I think Dennis, especially the title for 113, is A Thirst for Carnage.
Yeah.
So that's not a very friendly title name. I don't know. I just feel like all signs point to Dennis versus Yusho. I would just love to see Yusho duel at this point.
Yeah. No, same here.
But yeah. So I don't know. And obviously we'll get into that very interesting 113 spoiler where there's another character that's with Dennis.
Yeah. So,
that Yuya has previously dueled.
So yeah, let's go through that spoiler. Do you want to read it? Actually.
Yeah, I'll read it. Right. Okay. Well. Here is a spoiler that just came out. Episode 113, The Thirst for Carnage. A duelist stands in Yuya's way. Dennis waited for Yuya's arrival in the fusion dimension. In order to detain Yuya, he set up a duel, ... And the picture is Dennis winking. And it's obviously from the tournament of the newspaper that this excerpt was taken from. That's not the exact one. There's another one that says there's a duelist that Yuya has dueled before that is standing in front of Dennis. I'm sure you'll link both of those in the description, the sources and all. But, yeah, so I personally... Hold on, let me just see if I can find it real quick.
Mm-hmm, sure.
Yeah, here it is. Okay, it says, Yuya and the others arrive in Fusion and come across Dennis, so that confirms that Yuya and they will be leaving Heartland. Meanwhile, behind Dennis stands a man who Yuya has dueled before, ... And that's the end of it. and obviously that person is going to duel Yuya again. So do you want to get into that right now?
Yes. Why don't you tell me who you think this person is, since you clearly have an idea of who it is?
Okay, I do have an idea. When I first heard it, the first person that came to my mind was Barrett. I was like, it has to be Barrett.
I thought
Was that who you thought too?
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's like I think that's the obvious choice here. It's Barrett. There's no doubt in my mind. And then I thought about it some more, and I read some other kind of theories on this, and I'm now convinced who it is. I think I know exactly who it's going to be, and it's not Barrett.
Okay.
Do you remember the first duelist who Yuya went berserk against? It was in the tournament.
Oh,
Yes,
the fighting style guy, right? That was beating him up.
The really brutal Isayo Kachidoki, and here's the reason why I think it's going to be Kachidoki.
That's way out there.
That is very out there, but think about it. Their school just started learning fusion right before the tournament started. Their school already has Academia's ideals, where their duels are not meant for fun, they're meant for very brutal combat. They already have very similar ideals, and more importantly, let me find the source exactly. There's a certain writer Tamaru Ryo, who has not written an episode. There's different writers for different episodes, obviously. He hasn't written an episode since episode 77. Which is when Sergei, I think, dueled someone. He introduced the episode where Sergei dueled Yuzu, I'm pretty sure. Mm-hmm. And then he was also responsible for the Sergei Jack duel. He was also responsible for starting the Yuzu Masumi rival in episode 9 and for writing the rematch in episode 29. The first duel that he did in Yuya's terms was Yuya versus Kachidoki. And now he is confirmed to be the writer for 113. He wrote the rematch episode for Yuzu Masumi. He wrote the rematch episode for Sergei and Jack. And I really just think that Kachidoki, Isayo, I think that's his first name, Isao, I don't know really how you say it. Mm-hmm. But I really think that it's going to be Kachidoki, and I think this would be a great move. Because remember, Yuya did not show Kachidoki an entertainment duel. Yuya really beat him up hard. And that was actually a very brutal duel, if you remember. They already have Academia's styles. They're already they started learning fusion right before the tournament started. I think it would make sense you bring in more villainous characters, because you already have Barrett kind of built up. You can bring in him. You can bring in maybe his brother or other people that are part of the school. This school can now be like a set from Academia. And I have to say, someone 3 months ago commented, and they said Kachidoki was going to have a massive role in this show like 3 months ago, and I brushed it off. I was like, I think he's a one-and-done character. If this comes true and it is Kachidoki, I'll give that person a huge shout-out in my 113 review, because that would be one hell of a call, really. So I am going to go with Kachidoki. Kachidoki or Barrett, but I'm leaning 80-20 Kachidoki at this point.
Oh, wow. That's way back there. I definitely remember that.
Way back there, yeah. It is way back there.
To back up your theory, that would be kind of cool, and that does make sense. If they were just learning how to fusion summon, that would make sense for the fusion dimension. And the fact that Yuya pretty much brutally kind of destroyed him during that duel, and at the end of the duel, at the end of the duel, he was trying to give him a handshake, and he was afraid of Yuya and this and that. Yeah. So it could be possible, Dennis could have he did watch that duel, because as a matter of fact,
he was in the area, yeah.
Yeah, he was in the area, and he even told Yuya, what was it? In the episode when he was first revealed, when he was dueling with Yuya, he actually said that, I really enjoyed your first duel of the tournament with Sawatari, but I did not enjoy that second one, which was the duel with him. So he did watch that duel.
Right, and he could have very well went to Kachidoki right after the duel ended and just said, hey, you want revenge on Yuya, you want revenge on the guy who you hated because of the relationship he had with his dad before the duel and embarrassed you during the duel, you wait till I give you the signal, you're going to come with me, we're going to get revenge on Yuya. And boom, we have this duel now in 113.
Yeah, that could make sense. Of course, that would go against my entire theory that he's a good guy, because then if you brought him to Academia, you wouldn't want to turn someone else into a villain if you were really a good guy. I mean, it could just also be that he recruited him after that situation, and then obviously in 113, he sees Yuya for the first time, and he has this thirst for carnage or revenge for him for what he did to him that day. That could just be it. It might not be that he is a part of Academia. It could just be that he just sees Yuya there As to why he would choose him, I don't know. But I did feel like his arc was kind of not finished. I felt like they were going something with his arc, and I started to really like his character, and it was
because
interesting.
they gave him a decent amount of background, and a lot more background than most one-off characters get. Absolutely.
Yeah, for sure. So I really liked him, and I thought it was very important. And I was like, he never came back after that. He wasn't touched upon at all. So I feel it felt kind of strange that they kind of put a little bit of effort into this character, and then they didn't do anything with it after. He was basically just used as a sacrifice to use Berserk mode for the first time. So, well, yeah, I mean, that'll be very interesting if it's him. If that ends up being the case, I'll give you a shout. I'll be like, wow, man, you are something else.
Thank you, thank you.
Yeah, but yeah, all right. Well, that's pretty interesting stuff. I can't wait to see what the actual case is, and if you're right, or if I'm right, or if neither of us are right, and it ends up being some random thing.
Sora.
It could be Sora, but the thing with Sora is Sora right now is with Akaba Reiji and Jack in the Synchro Dimension. So, I mean, it could be possible that they could have already left and went to the Fusion Dimension, and then they're already meeting up, and like anything could be possible at this point. But yeah, if they still are in the Synchro arc, then Sora is over there in the Synchro Dimension. So I don't know how he would be able to go over and get him.
Yeah, I would be stunned if it was Sora or Reiji, especially because that would be a huge plot twist, and they're not going to do that with 30 episodes left. That's just way too much time to do something like that. But it's interesting because if they just wrote like a character appears in front of Dennis, you'd immediately think it's Yuri. But because it's someone Yuya has dueled before, it's definitely not Yuri. So I'm glad they included that in there, because otherwise I would have just assumed it's Yuri, and that would have been the end of it.
I mean, if it was Yuri, that would have been kind of a little too fast.
That's true. That's true. They're all confronting each. Yeah, right. You're right. You're right.
Yeah, because we're saving that Yuya versus Yuri duel if that does happen for maybe 10 or 15 episodes in.
Yeah.
From this point, it wouldn't be now. I feel like that'd be way too early. And we still need to see that Yugo versus Yuri duel if that's gonna happen. Because we've been fooled in the past before with the Yugo versus Yuya duel that never happened, that they teased in the opening.
Yeah, for opening 3, right.
Yeah, that was disappointing for a lot of people. So...
Yeah, definitely.
All right, well, I think we pretty much covered every single ground in terms of it. I actually thought this was going to take much longer to get through it, but it's a good thing I wrote all this down. It made it go by a lot faster. But yeah, I guess...
Yeah, we were quick and efficient.
Yeah, quick and efficient. We got straight to the point and got it all done. But this was definitely a lot of fun. I really enjoyed it. We should definitely do this in the future again, for sure. Just talk about some other... I have other like small theories and this and that that I want to do, like who do we think is gonna face a Caballero at the end? Because there's a couple different options.
Mm-hmm.
You touched upon that before too. You said that it could be like Yuri and Yuya versus him or something like that. So we could talk about possibly like potential duels. Like who do we see dueling from this point on in the series? How many times is Yuri gonna duel in the series before his story's closed?
And who's the final duel? Like who's Yuya gonna duel at the end? So there's definitely a lot of potential there.
Yeah, for sure. So that should be fun. We could definitely do this. I don't know, once a week or once every 2 weeks. It depends on our schedules and how that works out. But that would definitely be a lot of fun. This was a fun discussion.
Yeah, it was.
I'm really glad that you responded, though. I appreciate that a lot.
Oh, you're welcome. Thank you for having me on. It was a lot of fun, and hopefully the audience... And let us know down below also. I'm especially interested in who you think that duelist with Dennis could be. I'm especially interested to hear what you guys think about that. Absolutely.
Yeah, and it would be a little weird if it was Barrett, just because Barrett is still loyal. If Dennis is a part of Academia and is deceiving everybody, then it would make sense that it would be Barrett. But if my theory were to be correct, and he's a good guy, then it wouldn't make sense that he would bring Barrett, because Barrett is obviously still loyal to Academia. So it's like this conversation is like it could go either way, depending on whoever they bring or whether or not he's good or bad. It could go either your way or my way. It's like All right, so yeah, you left off saying something about episode 112, and then it cut off.
Yeah, I basically was just saying very quick. Episode 112 is really going to make or break, I think, a lot of our theories and our analysis points.
Yeah.
So it'll be very interesting to watch. I can't wait for it, really.
Yeah, for sure. Well, thank you for coming on my channel. Maybe next time we could. Well, I know you got your strike going on. Maybe we could try to do like a 15-minute conversation. You know, like small little topics, and we could like alternate between our channels. 1 week maybe like on my channel, 1 week on yours, and then we alternate like that. You know, it really depends on the copyright strike and all that.
Yeah, it's tough to keep these videos under 15 minutes. That's why it annoys me even when I go on my rants by myself. It's tough to keep it under 15 minutes. So it's going to be tough with two people, but we'll see. We'll see what happens. I'm going to contact Nihon again, and hopefully they find it in their hearts to, even if I have to delete the video, remove the strike. And hopefully that's that. But we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens.
For sure. So yeah, guys, just go to Clueless Gamers channels. I'll put a link below in the description. They do reviews on other TV shows other than just Yu-Gi-Oh! They do Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and I haven't. There's other stuff that they do that he does because he shares the channel with one of his friends, and then he also does his Yu-Gi-Oh! Reviews and theories and top fives and all that stuff. So if you guys want Yu-Gi-Oh! Content or what other TV shows do you review over there?
Well, I really only do Yu-Gi-Oh! It's my friend Pete who does. He does Arrow, Flash, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., as you said. He does Walking Dead. He does a lot. I can't remember them all off the top of my head, but he does a good amount. Right now, it's the break season for a lot of those TV shows. But he's even having some copyright issues from like Verizon and Comcast as like service providers. So I guess a few of those shows are even up in the air. Copyright is a real pain, especially when it is fair use protected, but some people just don't. They completely ignore fair use, so it's still a lot is up in the air right now. Absolutely, definitely. But yeah, check us out. I mean, it'd be greatly appreciated. And if you like theory videos, I have another theory coming out 2.5, 3 weeks. It'll have to do with GX and Duel monsters. So hopefully that won't be taken down like my other theory. But
those interesting facts about 5Ds were interesting.
Yeah. Thank you. I'm glad you like that.
We could have maybe a little mini discussion some other time about that. But this is a good way to close off the video for now. I hope you guys enjoyed watching our very first anime discussion. It was a whole lot of fun. I really appreciate Dylan for coming out. Definitely more to come in the future. Some discussions will be either by myself, some with Dylan, depending on our schedules, and if we can get together to talk about it. But thank you guys for watching. I really appreciate it. Write down in the comment section below, do you think Dennis is a double or triple agent? And yeah, I don't know what else to say. God bless you guys. Have a good night. Dylan, you want to say goodbye to the fans?
Well, as always, you guys are great. The community has been fantastic. It's just pretty amazing. Again, I always give the story that I started back in like December, like 6 months ago, and already like over 2,000 subs and just so many people that comment, and it's just really a beautiful thing. So the community is great. So comment down below what you thought of this video, and especially the talking points that we brought up. And again, I cannot thank you guys enough for watching. So thanks for watching, and have a good one. And until next time, we'll see you later.
All right, now as you know, at the end of my videos, I usually do Jaden's signature catchphrase.
Oh yeah.
So all right, catch you later, guys. Gotcha.